Yeah, so that book Hill and I read
I can't wait to read it, by the way.
year and a half ago with a small group, and it just keeps coming up in conversations. I bought like 10 copies to give to people, and when you were hammering on that topic, I was like, I have to get just got to give it to him. It was my last copy too. I got to get more now.
I feel guilty now.
No.
All right. Well, I'll just hit these real quick.
Okay.
Jeffrey Steele, Nashville Songwriter Hall of Fame, described by Country Music Hall of Fame as a poet and prophet. 2-time BMI Songwriter of the Year, 3-time NSAI Songwriter of the Year, 2-time CMA Triple Play Award. Is that correct? 2-time?
I think.
Sure. That's 3 number one hit songs in a given year.
Try not to look.
Billboard's top 5 writers, 8 consecutive years in a row. You have over 60 hits. Raise 'Em Up, Keith Urban, Knee Deep, Here, My Wish, Cowboy and Me, What Hurts the Most, which got a Grammy nomination. The list goes on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
It's crazy how that all...
So I'm going to start with a heavy hitter. Okay. So many of your songs revolve around regret from things unsaid. Mm-hmm. Like, I think What Hurts the Most.
I'm kind of an emo guy.
Cowboy and Me.
Yeah.
Do you think songwriting has been a way of saying what you wish people in your life had said, or what you wish you had said?
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, to me, I'm an observer. I think by nature, I was the youngest of 5 kids, and there was a lot of drama in my family. My dad was a World War II vet. My brother was a hippie in the 60s. So they were like this all the time. I just remember my brother getting thrown out of the house all the time. And I would just be sitting there watching the dynamics of my, my family life. And so I just became a real step back and look at the world guy and look at things. And so I got all these perspectives of imagining what the story is, knowing what the story is, hoping what the story could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my opinion of the story, and then trying to be in somebody else's head and imagining their opinion of the story. It's a lot of perspectives, but I try to step back and just like get everybody's perspective on a certain vibe, and then I'll attack it. But that said, the lyric will only come out if I hit something that moves me on the guitar or the piano, or just something that comes out of me. Like a lyric won't just flow like water if something doesn't hit me musically. Something will always steer that. Something, and it's always God will.
Right.
Boom, man. Like you're sitting there trying to figure out how to make a chord change and do something that's cool or creative, And then when you're not thinking about it and you're kind of subconscious spot, and I have a lot to say about that, but it starts flowing out of you, man. And you're trying not to pay attention to that. That's the key too. So I'm kind of spinning around your question, but you're trying to flow within that and not think about where you are. Hopefully you're not, because you're in your subconscious, so you're really not thinking about anything but just what's going on in the moment in your head. But I'll always know when I come out of that spot.
Right.
I'll go, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know what I mean? And then I'll have this thing in front of me. It happened with Rascal Flatts with These Days, which was somebody else's music. I'd never written a lyric to a song before. I'd always, did my own strumming and writing and composing. And it was the first time I ever had to write something to somebody else's music, and I was really mad at my publisher, because like, man, I can't. What am I gonna do? It's like the chords are just gonna be like this, and I can't really do anything. It's already written. Like I can't really let it flow. Like I'm always wanting it to flow, But I stumbled onto this. It was like an epiphany day of going, wow. When the music does this, I can do this. And when the music does this, I can do this, which is my lyrics. It taught me how to be a guitar player with lyrics. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, where I can improvise lyrics like I would on my guitar. So I'm getting way off your question, but when I write something, if it's emotional, if it's funny, if it's whatever the thing is, it always stems from something's happening musically that lights that fuse. I would say that'd be the best.
And you said subconscious.
Yeah.
You said you could go into that for days. What's the first thing? The first thing I think of is the movie Soul, the Disney movie Soul. I don't know if you've seen it, but a lot of it touches on the musicians or even the listener. They're lost in the song. When they're creating it, when they're playing it, when they're listening to it for the first time. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, I've always told people too, sometimes people look at me like I'm weird, but it's like songwriting to me has always been like this garden. It's been like this thing, this escape hatch and a place to get to. That when I'm in there, anything's possible and I can find anything I want. I could solve anything I want. You know what I mean? I could be anything I want. These Days was the best example of that lyrically because at some point I just snapped out of it. And I was really bummed out having to listen to this music. Next thing I know, I've got this verse in front of me, and I saw these on the back end as a writer, I saw all these cadences and alliterations and rhyme schemes that weren't normal
for you.
Well, into the genre at the time, to me, and then me also going, wow, this is me. This is me figuring out how I want to make it go.
Now, was this verse, I hope the days come easy and the moments pass, was it that verse?
No, that was
that's the right song, right?
No, that's the wrong song. That's my wish.
That's my wish. You're right.
These Days was, hey baby, is that you? Wow, your hair got so long. And here's the thing. That was something somebody said to me that I hadn't seen in a while. They said, man, your hair got so long. I love it. And I don't know why. I never wrote it down, and I'm not a writer down of stuff like that. I just remembered it. And when I was listening to that, it's the weirdest thing when you get into the subconscious place, when you just let it just flow over you, right? Like you just let it drown you basically. And that was the first thing that came out of my head was, hey baby, is that you? Man, your hair got so long. Yeah. You know, and then then the pen, I was a pen back then, it was the late 90s, but it was just going. Right. It was just going, and I came out and I had it all the way up to Go to Bed, Dream of You, and I had no title. I didn't have anything after that. I had Go to Bed, Dream of You. I don't know. And then I came out of it, and I'm like, what the heck is this?
I guess that's what I'm doing these days.
And that's what I literally said that. And then my famous, when I play live, I tell the story about the song, and the famous story was I was done. I was out of the spot. I was out of my garden, as it were, and didn't have anything to write a second verse about. And it was a pretty long verse. If you know the song, it's a pretty long verse, and it doesn't really have a normal form to it. It just keeps internal rhyming and bouncing. And so I'm sitting there watching this TV in my studio. I had this little black and white TV. Had a studio at my house at the time, and Larry King, the talk show host, was still on the air back in the 90s. The guy with the suspenders. And he was, and I tell the story in my show all the time, but he was interviewing Jewel. Jewel had just gotten married to Ty Murray. And at the time, Jewel was like the biggest rock star, coffee house, acoustic kind of princess, you know what I mean? That alternative rock goddess. And I just was looking at the TV going, wow, that rodeo cowboy. That's weird. She's marrying a rodeo. That's like so like this and this, right? And so I just started going, someone told me after college, you went to Vegas and married a rodeo. I just went off of that. I just jumped into that, like her saying that, and just imagination made that into a verse. And
did you know that it was going to match that song?
No, I just.
Or do you kind of match? John Mayer put it at one point, songwriting for him is kind of like he's got this idea over here, and then he just at some point he's like matching socks. He's trying to find.
There's always the technique and the form when you're not trying to do it. It could be any mirror of things that make it happen. I was in the song, but I can't even tell you. Honestly, I was just didn't really think I had anything to begin with.
Right.
And maybe it was just following the flow of where I was. I was now out of this space that I was in. I couldn't even tell you where I was. And then I was out of it, back in my room. And then now I'm here looking at a TV, looking at this, looking at Jewel on TV. And so I just turned it in. I just kind of went back into that as a place to go and stay in, and made it into a verse. And again, I came out of that chorus and still didn't have a title. and I didn't even know what I had. And I had at the time, I had a little 8-track in my studio. I think it was a little TAC tape machine, actually.
Nice.
I think it was. I can't remember. It might have been a Porta Studio. Remember those old Porta Studio things with the?
I never had one.
I know what you mean.
It was a cassette 4-track.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
archaic. But I learned on it, and in the back of the day. And anyway, so I sang it in there, and as I was singing the vocal, I just went, "That's what I'm doing these days." What a stupid title! I mean, that's probably the stupidest title ever. It's like, really, you just wrote all of that stuff, and that's all you got left to write. But it just felt right. I mean, baby, I miss you, and I know your life went to this place, but here's what I'm doing. I'm just thinking about you all the time. And that's the thing too. You have to get to that spot where I think I want to say it was Billy Joe Shaver that goes, "Hey man, I write it until I'm done writing it." Then I don't go back to it. I mean, you have to at some point go, because you're going to sit there trying to make it better and better and better. I was still trying to write a third verse for My Wish. Speaking of My Wish, long after the song was written, and my co-writer's like, "Dude, it's done.
Leave it alone."
Leave it alone. So you have to know when to just kind of go, okay, it is what it is. And I honestly thought it was crap. I honestly thought it was crap. Rascal Flatts was an unknown back then. They had, I think, one top 10 hit that they were just starting to hit the charts with. They were an unknown. I didn't write it for them. I wrote it just as a favor to my publisher to help this guy from London who was a track guy. Nobody knew what a track guy was back in the 90s. It was not even a word.
So when did you get to Nashville? What year did you move to Nashville?
Started coming in 87, and I moved in early 94.
Okay, and been here since?
Been here since.
You're from Burbank?
Yeah, grew up in Hollywood. But grew up on the Sunset Strip, playing in the bars and the rock clubs.
So why Nashville?
Crazy, right? Yeah. I was perfectly happy. I was
in California. You were?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing a lot of sessions, getting a lot of session work as a singer because I was pretty quick, on the fly. Back in the old tape days when you had to sing all the choruses, I was notorious for getting the choruses tight and very similar sounding, and I would get hired a lot for sessions. And I was playing in every band in town, and then there was a burgeoning country music scene. I was in that shit. I'm an old guy, so it was like the hair metal bands of the 80s. It was Brett and Duff, and I knew those guys, and I was not into it. I was drifting. I was drifting, but I was a byproduct of the 70s playing at Gazzari's on the Strip and all these rock bands, and Van Halen was still playing at the Ice House in Pasadena and at Gazzari's, and so I was a byproduct of all that. And then in the 80s, as this hair metal thing started to happen, it just wasn't my deal. I could tell that it just wasn't creatively my thing. I could sing it, I could do it, and then I went out and I saw this gig. I saw Dwight Yoakam and Los Lobos together on this bill in this club called Raji's in Hollywood. And then I met Buddy Miller, and was hanging out with Billy Block back then, and we all just started gravitating towards that roots scene with the Blasters and kind of the post-punk era of X. Like some of the guys in X were playing with Dwight. Anyway, we kind of gravitated to this scene. Lucinda Williams was there, and a lot of other people. And it turned into this barn dance at the Palomino Club in North Hollywood. So I quickly I was like, man, I got to get in that band. And I was a bass player. Bass player's the best gig to have because everybody needs a bass player, right? Like, the guitar player is like a dime a dozen. But like, everybody needs a bass player who can sing background vocals. It's always a plus. And so I got the bass gig in the house band at the Palomino. And I mean, you guys, it was college education. It was
that clicks. Actually, not to interrupt you, but your songs are many of them are real anthemic.
Yeah.
And, like the Flats take, a lot of those songs are like big stadiums. What I'm trying to say is you are known as a writer, but you write like a performer.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah. because when you're on stage and you feel the thing, I think I always adapted that to my songwriting, where I wanted that feeling of how it feels on stage to perform. Mm-hmm. You can't, it's hard to explain that unless you're doing it, but that rush, the thing where you're floating, just like you're floating. And I just always wanted to try to bring that out of the lyrics. It took a long time and there were so many things that happened to me over the years that turned my songwriting into what it became into.
So let's dive into that.
Yeah.
So like you growing up in that space in that time, mm-hmm. then moving to Nashville, becoming, over time, one of the most prolific songwriters in Nashville, like as far as credits and whatnot, like was that transition from going for, club scene, California to Nashville co-writer space? What do you think attributed to that?
It was wild. It was, here I am playing in this bar scene in LA that was amazing. It was just so amazing. There were so many amazing musicians there. And like I said, it was a college education in Honky Tonk, and then I'd be going to Bakersfield and playing up there. So I was getting this Haggard, Zeppelin, Queen, Willie Nelson, the weirdest pot of stew that you could imagine at that time, right? But I was really, really into Haggard and Willie Nelson. Like the lyrics and Kristofferson it was freaking me out how simple they were. Right. So that was a thread. That was always a thread within me. And so I'm just playing the bars, and I'm married young. I have a family young, and I'm trying to make money. So I joined this band down in Orange County, which is south of L.A., and a lot of clubs down there, a lot of bars everywhere. And they're called Boy Howdy, and they're looking for a bass player singer. And so I start playing with them, and within 6 months we became like the hottest band on the LA circuit, like bar band. Like everywhere we went, it was packed. Like we were just a great cover band, and you're playing 100 cover tunes a night. You get pretty good at how songs go
right
when you're playing that many cover tunes, and then you're playing with a band with all these harmonies, and you're hearing parts, and all that stuff's going on musically. So just to wrap that up, so I write a song with that band during the Gulf War in what was that, 1990, I think it was, when there was the first conflict in
89
Iraq.
90, yeah, it was one of those.
And I rewrote a thing called, there's a traditional song called When Johnny Comes Marching Home. I rewrote the title as like a John Cougar style up-tempo, When Johnny Comes Marching Home Again, it was kind of a patriotic song. And the local rock station in LA, the biggest station in LA, KLOS at the time, and then KZLA, which is the country station, both started playing the song, unbeknownst to the band. All of a sudden, we had like the hottest song going in the city, and I literally was in a urinal during one of my breaks with the band, and Dick Whitehouse from Curb Records walked in and stood next to me. He goes, "Hey, I love that song, man. You guys want to get signed at our record company?" It was literally like Wayne. It was like a Wayne's World. Yeah, it was a Wayne's World moment. It's like, okay, we'll be there tomorrow, And so we showed up, and so anyway, we signed a record deal, and Curb Records was not even in Nashville yet. They were still an LA-based record label. So we came back, and that's a long roundabout answer to your question, but that's what brought me back to Nashville and dropped me head first into this community of songwriters. To me, I just wrote songs. I didn't know about people sitting in a room together and doing that. Was foreign to me. But what I did know was that I was doing something musically that people weren't responding to here initially.
It was different.
Yeah, and I'd come here and showcased a couple times earlier in my career. Like 87, I came by myself, and before I joined Boy Howdy. But anyway, came back with Boy Howdy. We had a record deal, and pretty creative band, and like a West Coast version, like a country version of the Eagles meets Van Halen. And then I wrote this ballad while I was here in Nashville. One of the first big hits I had was a song called She'd Give Anything to Fall in Love, and I wrote it here on my very first songwriting trip. And Curb Records heard it, and they said, "Man, that's your single. That's the one we've been looking for." So it was this crazy deal. it became this massive hit, and then got re-recorded. David Foster cut it on some pop artist. Became a hit for Gerald Levert, his name was, and the next thing I know, the band is like this ballad band. You know what I mean? Like it was everything the band.
You're
wasn't.
off the sound,
Yeah, it was everything that we weren't.
And that's what worked.
Yeah, and it was obviously the death of the band, and which is what the label wanted. Where they're trying to pull me out to go on my own. So anyway, I'm making a long thing out of this, but all of that journey kind of shaped what I was trying to do and what I couldn't do and where I wasn't at yet. And so I get here, I land, the band has a few hits, band breaks up. Byproduct of that is I've been touring, the deal, right? You're 300 days a year and you're up every morning at 7 doing a radio show and playing 2 shows a night sometimes. Yeah. My voice got trashed. In the mid-late 90s, my voice was just trashed and couldn't sing anymore, couldn't hit the notes I would normally hit. And doctor said I needed to get surgery. I didn't want to get surgery, so I tried to find a holistic way to figure out what I had to do. And I met this guy that was a surgeon / musician. I'm making this a long answer. I'm so sorry. But anyway, this is the whole bowl of...
This is great.
Yeah, so what happened was he says, hey, I can help you with your voice. I can help you retrain your voice. But you're going to have to take some time off. And I said, what do you mean take time off? And he goes, well, probably 2 years. If you do the surgery, it's 6 weeks. I go, man, I don't want to do this. If there's nothing wrong with me other than polyps and swelling,
right.
I don't want somebody going down there and cutting around if there's really nothing wrong. Yeah. I'd rather try to pray my way through it and maybe find a holistic,
eat spinach.
Yeah. And
whatever that is.
And so, man, it worked. It took 14 months and it worked, and I retrained, and I sing every night. I sing 9 nights in a row now, and I'm stronger than I ever was, still like 30 years later, however long it's been, mid 90s. So anyway, my point being is that, I said, that's my moneymaker, man. I can't take time off. He goes, well, if you want to do it right, you're going to have to do it this way. And I'm going to retrain you how to speak, how to talk, how to breathe, how to, get your breath moving in a different direction, because you're just using the muscle right now. And so anyway, it forced me to be a songwriter. It forced me to figure out what I was writing my songs about, as opposed to just writing hit song, trying to do what everybody else was doing in town. It forced me to really, like I said, try to become a lead guitar player with lyrics. Does that make sense? Like it forced me to do. Okay, you can't sing, and I could sing anything you asked me to sing. I couldn't do that anymore. So now I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going out of my mind. So I had to do that with lyrics, and I'm one of those guys that just once I go, and it's 150%. I'm pedal to the metal, good or bad.
Right.
Especially at that time, I was just like all over the place, So that's what happened. That's what kind of built my car.
Makes sense. So you've been described. I mean, you've been described as somebody who's very present and connected in the writer's room. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the songs that I've noticed, you have kind of a knack for expressing somebody else's emotional viewpoint, and you kind of alluded to that at the beginning of the conversation. Like when you're in the room, is your antenna just picking up on kind of what everybody's story is?
Amazing eavesdropper.
Yeah.
A CIA level eavesdropper.
Yeah.
Where I hear I was famous, infamous, I guess is the word, probably the right word, right? In the studios when we were cutting all these songs that I was writing, I would have 8 ears, you know what I mean? We'd have Tom Bukovac in there and Rob McNally both together, or some combination of guitar players, Pat Buchanan, and then Greg Morrow, Chad, whoever was playing at the time, Michael Rhodes, while they're tuning up. Okay, so I've got me and my gang that day. On the session, right, and really cool guitar riff song, and one of my things I would always do. This pertains to my lyric writing too, and my songwriting. I'm all ears. And so Tom's tuning his E string, and he's like just screwing around with his wah-wah pedal, and he doesn't mean to be, but he's just kind of, he's got a bad chord or something's going on, and he's wah 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 while he's tuning. It's like wah, and I'm like, and while somebody's talking to me about the chart and this is going on, I'm like, oh, that's the intro. Wah 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 wah. It's a wah wah, man. It's floating. Yeah. It's just like making the song, you know. And then I can already hear the arrangement, like, and that was my MO. Everybody knew it. Everybody knew that I was like, you know, drummer. Whether it was Greg, whoever, he would do a cymbal thing. He might do a bell thing, and I'm like, oh my God, they've got to do that in the chorus. That's so emotional. Like how everything was emotional to me.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, so emotional. It's going to make the lyrics sing by him playing stupid stuff like that. But it was, you know, but when you're in it and you're in the moment, it's real, and it's, and you're trying to make. Here's the thing too, like. As much as I like to think it's about me, it's not about me. And especially like you start getting hot and you're famous and everybody loves your stuff now, and everybody hated it 5 years ago and now they love it. I'm a player.
Yep.
I've always been a player first.
Mm-hmm.
So when those guys get in the room, and those guys are serious. I mean, they're the reason why I became a songwriter, because I couldn't play like that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I had to find another gag. You know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you got like a Greg Morrow or a Chad, you know, or Michael Rhodes, you know, the late great R.I.P. Michael Rhodes, or a Buki, you know,
right.
I could tell you stories about Buki from the beginning days when he first came to town, and got a great story about that.
Well, tell us.
I will, but the point being, like, I wanted to impress. I didn't care about the genre and the fan base and the record companies. I wanted to impress those guys because I grew up around great musicians and was just everything I learned was from a great, you know what I mean? Like, we're all on everybody's shoulders that we grew up on, and that's why I gravitated to guys like Big Al Anderson back in the day. Like, I wanted to know what that was. My dad would always tell me to be the dumbest guy in the band. You know, be the dumbest guy in the band and learn and just watch and learn. And man, did I ever. And so I would let those guys, and I knew those guys were playing, I don't mean to say shit, but shit all day long.
Right.
There was a lot of shit.
Yeah.
145 crap.
Mm-hmm. There still is.
And there always will be. And that's, you know. So I would go out of my way. I would stay up till 3 a.m. and write a song. If I didn't feel like I had the song that they could play on, I would write stuff that they could play on. I wanted to impress the musicians more than anything, and earn their respect. That meant more to me than anything as a songwriter, because, you know, us player, we know songs, right? And we know the real, I think, when we hear it. And so that was always my quest.
So coming to Nashville, starting to write, sounds like where you've arrived at this place that you've realized is your strength, and that is that your channel is clear. Like, yeah. Like, okay, I know when I'm in flow state, I write the best thing because it's present and honest. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, and let me, I don't want to interrupt you, but I keep floating off your questions.
You're good.
But to your point of the energy in the room, that's where we started the question.
Yeah.
And I have a tendency to float, so forgive me. I truly believe the song's in the room every day. I truly believe God's going, here, man, here it is if you want it. If you don't want it, that's cool too, but I'm going to float something down. Just be aware, I'm going to float something down. You know, everybody's got the things on their phone, and everybody's got their thing, you know, like, I really got this, I heard that, which is great, you know, right. Which is great. But invariably, if you have a conversation with somebody in the room that you've never met before, they're going to say something amazing.
Right.
About where they grew up or how they grew up or a relationship or something important in their life. And that's what I was always looking for, something that made them emote on their face, that I would see the emotion on their face and go, let's write that.
That's it.
Write that.
Is that why you keep coming back to writing that moment?
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy that a lot of people don't get to see that?
Yeah. And everybody wants to make $1 million I never wanted to make $1 million. Honest to God, I would be a bass player in a bar right now singing background vocals, as happy as I am now, if that was my road. That's it's hard. It's hard to tell people not to, what are you gonna tell people, right? But that being said, like when you're in the moment straight, like in a stupid version of that story I just told you, I'm in a room with Shane Miner and Bart Almond, and we're spending 5 hours on one of the worst songs I ever wrote. I can't even tell you what the title of it was. It was the worst. Just, you're just rubbing your neck on, why are we doing that? Why are we painting into a corner?
Yeah.
Why are we trying, and that's a whole other thing. Why are we trying to rhyme words?
Right.
That's not the songwriter's job, is not to rhyme words. It's to capture the thing. The rhyme, it will figure itself out, right? The word will come up.
Right.
And it won't be the word you thought it was going to be. But when you make it a point to go for the rhyme, so we were just I'm literally rubbing my neck, and I was like, man, any of you guys got anything going on in your life right now we could write a real song about?
Yeah.
And my friend Bart Allman, who used to be a Sony rep and he became a songwriter, signed him to my company. His face lit up, and he goes, man, I got a brand new girlfriend. And it's just the way that he said it.
Like, great.
And I looked at him, I go, I got a brand new girl. And I started, because of the way he emoted it.
Yeah.
And we're laughing. We just started laughing. We're just on our backs laughing. That's so funny. Oh my God. Oh wait, we got to get a verse. Oh, here's verse. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And then we're just goofing. 30 minutes later, after an 8-hour day.
Bam. It's funny how that works. I mean, yeah, when you can get honest with your emotion and capture that, it falls out. That's
and then,
what I find.
And for me, like, I just want to save the world somehow.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jeff, quit saving the world and just have a good time today. So for me,
wisdom.
I mean, I'm kind of in both of those worlds. Like,
right.
I write songs that, could be perceived as political. I've got songs that are, I've got songs that are just like rip your heart out sad, I personally have a hard time writing like the what's in trend. Like I'm so detached from what's cool at this point. I don't even know anymore.
It's probably better.
Maybe long term. I don't know. But
that's the deal, like it's you got to remind yourself to have a good time. But to the point of your question 10 minutes ago. Sorry, just floating off into the ether there. But when you allow the room to be open to anything, craziest stuff happens, right? I mean, like that's the power of God. I truly believe that. I truly believe that it's His. He created music to celebrate His creation of life, and that's what it's for. And we live in a society, a human society where we're trying to make money and
live.
Yeah, and it's just built. It's built that way. So there's no getting around chasing it that way. But boy, when we can just walk up there a little while and just hang out for a while, it's amazing what can happen musically.
I'm so glad you floated off the topic, because a lot of our audience are songwriters, people that are just getting into town or just figuring out the thing. Mm-hmm. That is so much wisdom that I'm sure all of us could agree on. When we first moved to Nashville, a piece of wisdom that we could hold on to.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, classic story for me. I met. I've told this a few times, but met Kristofferson back in the '80s, and at a bar at Palomino, and he was one of the guests. Came in one night, and so I ran out to get some advice. And my dad's favorite songwriter, he said, "You got to listen to Kris." So I started listening to Kris, and he's getting into a car, like a limo, in the back of the club in the alley in this North Hollywood. It's like one of the seediest parts of L.A., and he had a bottle of whiskey, and I swear there were two girls. I don't know. I said, man, hey, my dad is your biggest fan. He told me if I ever got to meet you to get some advice from you, can you give me some advice? And he looked at me half cocked, just kind of, and he's like, never do it for the money. And he got into a limo with a bottle of whiskey.
Well, there's some wisdom there.
So check this out. So years later, 2000, I can't remember, 7 maybe, Songwriter of the Year. Mm-hmm. And he was the country music icon that year. He was being awarded the Country Music Icon Award for his career. And so I'm on stage with him all those years later. And I said, Kris, oh my God, I met you, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh God.
Here we go.
I don't want to talk about back then. I said, no, you told me to never do it for the money. And he got really serious. And he looked at me and he goes, did you do it for the money? I said, no, sir. No, sir. And he got just like beady-eyed serious. And then all of a sudden just busted out belly leg. He goes, yeah, right.
That is too good.
You know what I mean? So that was a neat full circle thing for me. But something I go back to with young writers when I'm developing, and I tell them, that's your world. He's the circle of my life. Like, that's where I started with my old man. My old man turned me on to him, and here I am now standing with him on stage.
Right.
And this is your life as a songwriter. You write your life. You write what you know. Don't worry about it not being important. Just write it the best way you know how to write it, because people want to hear it. If it's real, they want to hear it, right? I mean, don't write somebody else's life. Write your life.
So, all right. I'll respond to that. I got one for you. I mean, I agree. I mean, if you are kind of somewhat in touch in writing honest stuff, you're constantly processing your own life or seeing your own life and somebody else's or whatnot. Do you think being a great songwriter has more to do with expressing yourself or listening deeply?
Tom T. Hall said, you could tell anybody you want you're a professional songwriter when you're in a bar, but don't do it when you're in a room with them. Don't be a professional songwriter in the room. Be you in the room. I think that speaks to a lot of what you're saying. Like, be yourself at all costs when you're in that room and you're searching for the thing. And that's my first thought about what you're saying right there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a combination. Like for me, I could speak. I mean, we all write, but like for me, I like to sit in a room, have a conversation.
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing. I'm looking for that window of like human, and it's like, bam, okay, there's something to run with, and you run with that. And if it ain't working and you're getting up the rhyming category, it's probably dead.
Once you're rhyming, I mean, dude, I have so many stories. I wrote a song back in the mid '90s for a group called Diamond Rio, a song called "Unbelievable." I wrote it with Al Anderson, Big Al, and Big Al was my hero. NRBQ, guitar player. NRBQ was the band that all the bands went to listen to. The Stones, the Beatles. When they wanted to hear great music, they went and saw NRBQ. That was their jam. And so Al was the guitar player in that band. And when he came to Nashville, boy, I was just lit up. And when I finally got to write with him, the first thing we wrote was Unbelievable. Well, it's like the first song we wrote. And so I was at a point in my career where I was, trying to do it right. And I had like the pop culture dictionary, rhyming dictionary, had my laptop, which weighed about 25 pounds back then. Right. You had this big, huge briefcase full of books because I was a professional songwriter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I had a publishing deal. I'm playing with Al, and I'm getting, again, a long way around to your answer, but he's playing this just sick groove. And it started off where I had no idea that day, and I knew I was going to be my first time writing with him. I was like, what am I going to do? I got nothing. But I was tapping a triplet on my steering wheel, driving in through Green Hills. I was like going, kissable, huggable, lovable, unbelievable, kissable, huggable, lovable. I don't know what it was. I just tapping it on my kissable, huggable, lovable. So I get to the writing room, and Al's like, what do you got? Big Al, he's 6'8". And I go, man, I really got nothing, but I was tapping this triplet. Kissable, huggable, lovable, just like kind of doing that on my steering wheel. And he's just scowling at me, and he just goes, I love that. And he starts doing that sloppy, that sloppy groove that he played. And we start writing it, and then we get all the way through this song in like an hour, and it's got all these 5-syllable rhymes going, ba, 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 just shotgunning all these rhymes, right? And there was one, this is a great story. This is one of my favorite stories because we're 30 minutes to an hour into this song. It's pretty much, this is going to be an awesome song. But we got this one spot where there's a word not fitting, words not dropping. It needs to be a long one. And because that's the kind of cadence of the song. So I get out my pop culture, I get out my thesaurus, and I'm just flipping through, looking for 5-syllable words, 4-syllable words. I'm like, it spent like 45 minutes just looking through all these books. They're all spread out on the desk.
Been there, done.
And Al's just sitting there looking at me. He's just scowling at me, and he goes, hey. And I'm like, I'm all into it. He's like, hey. And I look up, I go, what? He goes, gotta have-able. I said, what? He goes, gotta have-able. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, that's the word. I go, that's not a word. He goes, well, it is now. The song's done. And that, and it was a song that was, all those kind of words. And he made one up. And that was that moment. That was that epiphany moment, the arrow through the Steve Martin arrow through the head, like, wow, oh yeah, I'm a songwriter. I can write anything I want. I can make up a word.
Yep.
I can make it fun.
Yep.
There were little moments where I learned these things. I call them tricks or whatever you can call them. But Al's thing was always like it's not what you play, it's what you don't play. He would always tell me that. Because I was always one of these guys that wanted to play. I wanted to show you all the chords.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's like, Steely, it's what you don't play. I'm like what? He'd say, less is more. So I always had this joke with him where we'd be in a room, and I go, hey, less is more, right? He goes, less is more. I go, yeah, but even more is even more.
Yeah. There's your tension.
But and so that word gotta have-able, when the song became a hit, right? It became a massive hit for Diamond Rio. I remember we saw the semi going by with this big watermelon that said unbelievable on it. Like that was the name of their tour. And I was getting calls for all these interviews, to do all these interviews. And the first thing they would ask is, what's that word gotta have-able? in the last verse, I'm like, oh, well, we made it up. I took credit for it, but of course gave it to Al. But you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh yeah, we thought of this word gotta have-able. But that was the first thing they asked about in every interview, which was another signal to me of like, okay, that's all they care about. I diligently, with all of my technique and form, threw out all those amazing words, and all they're asking me about is this made-up word that Big Al came up with. Right. I ended up calling my publishing company Gotta Have-able Music, and of course tipped my hat to Al, and Al was always that guy to me. He always reminded me how important it was to just let something don't overthink stuff. Just let it. It will happen if you just stop and breathe and let it come down, man, and don't think about it. He was genius at that, So
and that was when?
90, probably wrote it in 96. I think it came out in 98, but it wrote it in 96. And for me, with Al's groove, we had one earlier with Leanne Rimes, a song called Big Deal, which had that same kind of groove. Of course, when it became a record, got straightened out. It didn't have the same slosh to it that Al had. But what it was doing to me, it was showing me how to write lyrics, to put down my guitar, and how to, again, be a guitar player with lyrics, and how to figure out his thing, and how to weave it within his thing, and be true to his thing, and not clog his thing, and because he was a genius at what he did, and it just opened the door for me. My thought processes were, it's just like I said in the very beginning, the little garden. It let me go into my world, and just by trusting his thing, like not trying to filter his thing, do anything to his groove, just try to live within it, and just try to go, what's the layer that goes with his thing to make it great, and it still lets his thing shine. And I think that's an important thing. I don't know if it gets lost these days or not. I'm not precious to my era, but But you get older and everything's not as good as it was. But it's not true though. There's such great music out there right now. But you know what I mean. Like you get precious to your era a little bit. But that was always the things that I looked for when I was with other people that were extremely talented. It's hard, and I have a gift and a talent, and you got to learn how to check yourself sometimes and go, hey man, that guy's just as amazing at doing something as you're doing over here. So let him shine and shine with him, and don't try to overshine. You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean? But try to coexist within it and find each guy's greatness, girl's greatness, whatever, and embellish it the best you can. And that's still a learning process for me. It's still something I'm learning how to do.
Well, everybody's strength, they're unique in their strengths.
Yeah,
so
and you got to let it shine. You got to let that shine. And you guys know, like when you're in a room, there's always an A guy and a B guy and a C guy, right? Like one guy's like the main guy. You could just sometimes just happens, right?
Yep.
Sometimes you get two. Yeah, sometimes you get two A guys, and you got to figure out what that looks like, right? Who wins? Because I've had that with Wiseman. Me and Wiseman. And again, with Big Al, we wrote The Cowboy and Me, and Craig and I were literally butting heads on the arrangement.
About to punch each other.
Because Craig had a ton of number ones, and I was like, I had this rap for having the most number twos.
Yeah.
I literally did. In the 90s, I had like 15 number two songs.
Oh, my God.
That just didn't get in because of some other amazing song, or, you know what I mean?
Because of Craig.
Yeah, and Craig was having a lot of them. He definitely was. And Cowboy and Me was my first number one song. And that was the first, number one that I had. And Al was kind of the conduit guy. Big Al was, it was me and Craig in this arrangement lyric battle the whole day. And I kept saying, man, the song's got to go to the bridge and then lift up to the solo, then come back to the bridge and go back down to the last verse. And Craig's like, no, man, you trust me on this. We were just slugging it out on the arrangement and getting a little hot with each other. And Al just kept kind of mediating us, and cooler heads prevailed. But that was a cool day for me with Craig, because we had been writing together. We had become friends in town, and he was really he respected my arrangement idea of doing this, like going to the peak of the song and then coming back down, as opposed to doing the typical thing. And it was kind of an album cut song. Cowboy and Me was an album cut song, and ended up being the fifth single.
So I got a couple of things to ask about on this.
Okay.
All right. So first, grief has obviously played a role in your life. Yeah. That's been spoken about. How do you think, if at all, that's impacted you as a writer?
The grief, you mean?
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, what hurts the most was a song about my dad who died when I was in my early 20s, and my biggest champion fired me. I worked at his machine shop, and he fired me. He didn't want me to cut my fingers off. He wanted me to play my guitar because he loved playing the guitar, and he loved writing songs. He used to have all of his songs painted on his guitar. And he'd come home from work and say, hey, which song you want to hear? And we're like, oh, I don't want to hear it. But that was like my dad's thing. And he encouraged me. He did things for me I don't think he really knew what he was doing for me. And I didn't know at the time. I couldn't know until now, 20, 30 years later. I couldn't know until now. But what hurts the most was him. He died in 87. I wrote that song in 99, I think it was. And didn't get cut till 2007 by Flats, and then my boy died that year. My boy died, so it boomeranged back to me. It's become a part of my live thing, where people want to talk to me because they've been through stuff. So I don't know that I don't chase it. Stephen Wilson came in one day and he goes, hey, I got this title, Grief is Only Love. I'm like, oh God, it's amazing. It's amazing. I said, what is it? What are you thinking? And he told me about his grandpa. And so obviously I had a lot to say at that moment. It was, we wrote that song years ago, probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I just, I just want to capture it. I want to get it right, and I don't want to write it because it's sad and because it's. I want to get it right. I just want to get it. I want to make people. And here's the thing about what hurts the most: it's a sad song, but it brings people joy in some odd way. Mm-hmm. I can't explain it. After all these years, I cannot explain it. But people get joy from it, even though it brings them tears, and it's become such a marker for me. But I'm trying to capture the emotion without, like I said, just you're just not trying to be sad and to write a sad song. I just was really trying to capture. And what hurts the most, I was trying to write about what my dad would have said to me, because my dad fired me and I left.
And that's also where you pick up steel, right?
Yeah, he was a machinist, worked for a metal company, and it was his metal company, and we processed, we had cut-off machines that cut just basic Neanderthal cutting off stock, different sizes and shapes, and a lot of forklifts and hand lifts, and it was a real Neanderthal job. My dad was the hardest working guy, and it was. When he died, I called myself Steele, and my last name is Levasseur, which is a French name, French Canadian name, and so I put the E on the end to keep that intact because I wanted to keep my heritage intact, but I really wanted to honor what I grew up in. That shop. I grew up in that machine shop. The smell of the oils and the fluids and the cutting stuff and this the stock, the metal. I grew up in that, so I wanted to honor that with my brothers and stuff. We all worked there. The whole family worked there. So yeah.
Do you think that if you were to be self-aware, which you seem like you are anyway, but do you think that you have great capacity to sit with people in grief? Like,
yeah, I'm doing it today. A buddy of mine, a guy that helped me start a prayer group, Priestley Reeves, his daughter passed away, and I'm gonna go be with them today. And I just did one last week for a friend of mine. His wife wanted to hear what hurts the most. It's like, why do you want me to sing a sad song like that? She goes, I just love that song, and I want, you know what I mean? Like, so I really literally walk into it, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I walk into it because I know that, man, we ain't nothing but leaving here.
Right.
All of us, we are nothing but leaving here. We don't even know why we're here, and we're leaving here, and we're not doing anything but leaving here. And that's the thing, you can't, you talk about living in the moment, and death teaches you to live in the moment. It teaches you to, like, go now, do it now. Today is your last day. I mean, it really is. And I've lived it personally, not to beat people over the head with it and go, hey, if you don't, da 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 da. But you, as sure as we are sitting here, we are leaving here, and we don't know when. We don't know when the ticket is coming up, and we have to live. We have to take that awfulness, that awful bad, and we just gotta try to make it good somehow. I mean, I could have killed myself like that. Right. After my boy died. I was drinking so bad back then, and I was in a mess. I was just a mess as a human back then too, and living the dream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I walk into its face. I as a little kid when my grandma was dying, my grandma Minnie, my mom's mom, all my sisters were crying. They're, oh my God, she's gonna die. And I can't tell you what it was, but I walked into the room and I started dancing and singing, started singing an Elvis song, and she smiled. She's on her deathbed and she smiled, and it ain't bad. I mean, it's a sad thing when we lose people, but it ain't bad. We know it's gonna be a good thing. Where we're going on to is gonna be great, and I'm not trying to be morbid. I'm just trying to say that there's no getting out of that. As Hank Williams said it best, right. There ain't no getting out of this world alive. we got to remember that and try to be there for people, stand beside people, and when they need us, and the best we can. And that's, I just try my best. But I feel like I'm not afraid to walk into that room at any time.
I think that's part of the role of songwriting is you have an internal tension, and I think, we got to move to other stuff.
Yeah,
like I want to cover some other stuff. No. It's just not on you at all. I love that you're jumping into this and bouncing around, but like I carry a lot of internal tension.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sitting in the grief that I've never lived, or I'm empathing it, you know. Mm-hmm. Then I walk into my life. I'm a really happy, joyful person day to day.
Yeah.
But that's a tension. And I think the thing about grief is it never really goes away. Like, it's present, but do you avoid it, which we all have a tendency to in some way do, or do you walk through it and face it when it comes? And that's where songwriting in those moments, for me, becomes a healthy thing.
Yeah, and I obviously process it through writing.
Right.
You know, like I was talking about Stephen Wilson Jr., Grief is Only Love is like the epitome of that, of just everything you just said when we wrote that song together. That was both of us. He had just lost his dad, and I was right in that place in my life, and you know what I mean? Like, and you're faced with documenting it and detailing it and talking about it. But I always find that it's the worst. Everybody's immediately sad and grief-stricken, and I don't know. I just like to be a reminder to people that it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Bad, and I know because I went through it, you know, and it was the end of the world. It was the end of the world, and now 20 years passed. How can I? You know, it's a blessing.
Well, I honor you in that.
But do you know what I mean? Like, and I tell people, like, a friend of mine just passed away, and his wife is just crushed right now, and so much I want to tell her, and I can't.
But your presence.
So I just try to be present. Yeah. I want to say, man, they cut your arms and your legs off and tell you to walk, and you can't walk, but you got to walk. You can't walk, but you got to walk, and so you start walking, and you can't walk. But what I did was I prayed God would just put people in front of me that would change my life for the better, and get me somewhere, and just get me somewhere. And so 20 years later, what I'm doing now, and the people that have come through my life, the charities, the organizations I've been around, to be able to walk into their grief, to walk into their things, and just be a guy that goes, hey man, me too. Let's rock. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let's talk about him. Talk about her. Let's sing something. Let's do something. And gosh, you guys, you know, the older you get, I'm 64 years old now. You know, you start losing people.
Right.
A lot. A lot.
Right.
I mean, Brett Jones just passed away the other day. We lost Brett James a couple months ago. And it's just flip of a dime, man. So yeah, I mean, but is it a part of every song I write? Do I want it to be? No, I just want to. But when it hits me,
sure.
When it hits me, I want to capture it. I want to capture what I saw, what I felt, and what those people felt. What I think they felt. I can only do what I think they felt, right? But I want to capture that painting in my mind when I write the song, whatever the song is, and of course, you don't want to write every song, but you can't, right? But when it does present itself, you just try to stay in the true place, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to live there all the time.
No, of course
I'm not
not.
Ryan Adams, but
no, of course nobody does. Nobody does. I mean, none of us do. But unfortunately, it's part of our journey, and I think if you can learn to just kind of go, hey man, they're in a good place now, and we got to celebrate what they did and what they were, and maybe we can carry their, like with my son, we've carried his memory on now for 20 years through skateboarding and scholarship programs, and we do these video rooms at the YMCA's and music rooms where people can come, you know, kids can come after school and jam and play, and skateboard scholarship program. It's little stuff, and it doesn't make it better. It doesn't take the hurt away, but you see kids. It's really weird, like when you just think about kids at a skateboard park on a Saturday, just skating around, just Saturdays at the skate park, and then they're going to go home and do whatever they do. Right. Mm-hmm. When somebody's you've lost somebody from your life, and you see how precious that thing is. It's just a thing, right? It's just an American day at the park. But when you see that, the preciousness of that moment, or I'll see a picture from the skate park maybe and see two kids together sitting on a ramp, and I'm just sitting there going, wow, that was just probably a great Saturday.
Yeah.
That they'll forget. They'll probably forget it, but those things are so important. And so we've been able to kind of, you can't heal from it, but you're allowing good stuff to happen. Yeah,
I mean, what you just described is like,
nothing
crazy about seeing kids out on a Saturday skateboarding, but nothing's missing from that picture until it is.
Yeah, and then you just get that, especially as a songwriter too. You get that crazier perspective of, wow, there's more to that than just those two kids. There's a whole life and a whole thing going on, and that's kind of where unfortunately my head always goes there. It's like it turns into a lyric, somehow.
Yeah.
Anyway,
do you think that 90s 2000s kind of story arc thing is gone? Still here? Is it coming back? What do you think?
Well, I think that the whole '90s thing is just a byproduct. It's like back in the '70s, all the rock and roll of the '70s, the '50s became popular. Bands like Sha Na Na became popular, and there was a nostalgic throwback to the old '50s days of music because it was simpler, and it was a little less involved. And I think that generations always do that. They always go back about 20 years. And that's what happened with 90s country and country music. Because country music took such a... country music became 70s rock. It became stadium. And it definitely blew up the genre. It's one of the biggest genres out there, of music that sells. And it's a byproduct of probably like guys like me that were like old 70s rocker guys that loved country music, and we're trying to figure out how to make it work authentically, like trying to go, hey, how can I make a 4 minor go over that thing and make it legit? Because I love this thing on the guitar, but I know it's not that genre. So I think that those things always happen in genres, and that's what we have with the 90s, 2000s. And I think and here's the other thing. The other side is just logistics of kids. Teenage kids are now 30 with babies. And so the music comes around. And like I said, everything's always full circle. And it's so funny because like when I was writing, when I hit a lick, I was in my 30s, in my mid 30s, and I was writing about 70s. In the 2000s.
Do you think that's...
And all the young kids were getting into they didn't know I was writing about the 70s, but they were getting into my life story 20-some years later after it had already happened.
You're the conduit for them to reach back to the 70s.
So I think we always have that backwards flow to the music and the nostalgia that comes with it. And it's good. It's good. And then we'll have that rebirth and growth period of really traditional stuff will happen again. And that's why I say you got to let it all happen, because whatever you're precious to will get better if something else takes it this way. Someone over here is going to go, I'm taking it back that way. We're going back that way. We're going to the past, Somebody will, and it will be great. Like they'll be authentic. And we're seeing it. We're seeing musicians out there that are throwbacks to earlier times, and this stuff never goes away, and people get so bummed out, and like some of my peers are like, music sucks now. It's like, dude, it's their time. It's their they grew up in the 90s. We grew up in the so it's all those influences don't come into effect 20 years later to the new genre of kids that are coming up listening to the music. So I mean everybody gets precious to the era of their own.
Well, I'll say that I am I'm 30.
And what did you grow up? You grew up on what music, though?
Man, I grew up on
Only country, or did you grow up on rap and rock and roll? And
no, not so much. I mean, my folks were James Taylor, Kristofferson.
So your folks,
Christopher Cross.
Your folks had a big impact on your.
To an extent, neither of them are huge music people. I'm kind of the music guy in the family.
But just what they listen to and
somewhat. I mean, I think really for me, I discovered music sitting on a lawnmower at 8 years old with my sister's iPod, and a lot of that was Rascal Flatts and I mean seriously, it was the Toby Keith was my first CD. I remember getting that for a birthday party. Yeah, I remember listening to all that old Rascal Flatts stuff. I discovered Room for Squares and Continuum on that iPod. Sean McConnell, like there were all this, and then obviously the Bruce Springsteens of the world and that kind of stuff too. And 97.1 The River was a new radio station that was the 70s rock. Yeah. And I listened exclusively to that middle school and high school. Yeah. Back in Atlanta.
I think for me too was playing in bars. Songs that would get requested all the time when I was coming up. And part of my upbringing was I was played in bars. That's all I did was play in bars. Right. And when I played in a bar, it was Sweet Home Alabama. It was Cocaine, Eric Clapton. Of
course.
It was That's the Way Love Goes, Merle Haggard. Swinging Doors, Merle Haggard. On the Road Again. It was this swath of Brown Sugar, Rolling Stones. This swath of 70s rock and hardcore, like Hank Jr., Country Boy Can't Survive. My favorite song of all time, I think. So anyway, my point to yours was in a bar, you're getting requested those songs constantly.
Still.
And as a songwriter, I didn't know it. I can tell you this now. I couldn't tell you this 40 or 45 years ago. I'm sitting there, why am I playing these songs a million times a week? Why are they, what, you know what I mean? So there's that again, subconscious thing of like what's flowing into you. There's a reason why people just love these songs and can't walk without these songs.
And there's a reason that all these catalogs are getting bought too.
Exactly.
I mean,
exactly.
Right?
And but that was maybe I can tell you this now. Maybe that was a seed of like, it's got to be that good, man. You got to reach for that. You can't be that. It's got to be you. But my dad would always say, son, you're only going to be the second best Merle Haggard. I'm just telling you. I said, thanks, Dad.
Right.
But he would tell me that, you're going to be the second best Merle Haggard. No matter how good you get at Merle Haggard, you're always going to be the second best Merle Haggard.
But you find Jeffrey Steele in the failure to be Merle Haggard.
Yeah, and in some of the things he did, some of the things Willie did. I got a great story. I wrote a song for Colin Ray, 90, whatever, late 90s, mid 90s. Couldn't last a moment. My buddy Danny Wells came over one day with a beatbox, state of the art beatbox in the 90s. It was state of the art, man. And he goes, man, we got to write a song for the Backstreet Boys. I'm like, and I'd just been watching Honeysuckle Rose, the old Willie Nelson. I'm a huge Willie Nelson fan. I'm like huge. And I wanted to write like an Angel Flying Too Close to the song, to the ground song that day. And that's one of my favorite songs. And the chord, the diminished chord, he always used the diminished chord off the D. The D, he would go to the D diminished. So I wanted, that was in my head. And he brought in this beatbox. And he goes, check this out, man. We got Backstreet Boys are cutting a record. I'm like, dude, really? Backstreet Boys? Come on, dude. And he puts on this beat, and the beat goes, and then I immediately go into the play. I just like, whoa. I play the Willie Nelson diminished chord, and I go da 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 to a C sharp minor, da 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 to the 4 chord, and we write "Couldn't Last a Moment" for Colin Ray, one of his biggest songs. We literally wrote that song in like an hour, and he kept looking at me. He's going, I don't know, man. That chord's weird. I go, I'm telling you, it's Willie Nelson's chord. It can't be wrong.
It worked with Willie.
It can't be wrong. And we're gonna repurpose it in a half-baked R&B song that's really trying to be a country, and it had a spoken lyric, has spoken verse, and then had this super melodic chorus, and it was an oddball song in the 90s, but it was, the things were starting to change. And Dan Huff heard it, and he's like, man, I got to cut this on somebody. And anyway, so
That's so good.
anything's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you just get out of your own way pretty well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think and you got to know that too, that anything makes a song. It like you always get the is it the lyrics or the melody that comes first? It's like, man, it might be a drum beat, it might be somebody doing a bass line, it might be a guitar riff, or it might be a line that I have in my head, or it might. I have this new song. I have a new album coming out. I have this album called American Storyteller. It's been 7 years in the making. But whenever I teach these classes, and I teach a school, and I talking to kids, and just in my publishing companies over the years, I'm always telling people that you're all trying to make $1 million and get rich. I said, and you're doing everything. You're running away from who you are to do it. And I would always literally say your idiosyncrasies. I would use that word. All the little idiosyncrasies and quirks about you that you don't like or you think are stupid. That's your money. That's your song. That's your thing. That's your style. That's you. And so I literally said, idiosyncrasies. I wonder if I could write a song with that being in the chorus every time. And so there's a song on my new record called it's called Easier Being Me, and that predominant word. But my point being that writing songs is embracing who you are, and I think the flaws of who we are is what makes us wonderful.
I agree completely.
Boom, bam.
All right, so I'm gonna.
Did I even get close to answering that? Okay.
You did.
So I'm just like
There's
floating.
so many gold.
Dude,
There's so many gold
I'm
nuggets.
floating
Okay.
all over the place.
All right,
But
so-
I'm having a great. You guys are great. I'm really loving.
Man, I'm
this.
enjoying
I
this
could
too.
Talk all day long about it.
So, 64 years old. You've been in
Yes.
town for 35 years. About 35 years.
Yeah.
Right? 94, 32. Call it.
First cut was in '87.
Okay.
Steve Warner.
So seeing what you're seeing now with writers, kind of as just your 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
What I see, and part of the reason I've kind of detached, is it's not from effort. It's not from being intentional about the career, right? It's just, man, I don't care to do what everybody else is doing. Like, there's pressure to be a social media person, constant content. There's the pressure of writing, obviously, great music, getting it produced. I mean, all that seems to have shifted to the artist right now, which has its pros and cons. Do you think, as you were saying, everybody kind of harkens back to what they grew up on, a past era? Looking at today, what do you think has changed? What do you think needs to change, if anything?
It's a tough question. It's a big question because life evolves. Look at our culture. Look at our music. I mean, all the music that ever got invented here in 100 years, from bluegrass to punk to grunge to
Everything.
heavy metal to Philadelphia to Stax to Muscle Shoals, right, to Detroit to Memphis. It's all right here. And even the British invasion was a byproduct of Memphis, of Carl Perkins and Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash, the guys that really created, Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, Little Richard. It's culture, so it's like floating. It's just floating. Here's the thing: it's wild. And again, I spin off on these questions, and I'm sorry, but it's a bigger thought because it's all happened. The twin guitar solos, the 4-part harmonies, the amazing bluegrass. It's Stevie Wonder. It's Prince. It's all happened. It's all already happened. It's the 60s wrote about the times. We're in times right now. I feel like we should be writing about the times right now because we're in times right now.
I agree.
We're in times. And just like the folk era of the 60s, they wrote about it and they made it the culture. And I'm really adamant about now. And so I'm making more out of your question.
No. I love
but
where
it's
this is
so
going.
important. It's so important because you hear a lot of guys go, man, there's no rock and roll anymore. And there's not. Right. But it's all been done. I mean, you got to find a way. You got to have the guys, and dare I say like me, but guys that just didn't give a shit, pardon my language, but just wanted to make music. I just wanted to get this crazy thing inside of my head out of me somehow, because it's still there. I still can't get it all out of me. It's like, God, what is it? But you're chasing all these genres and these fluids and these things and these, but it's all been done.
Yeah.
In every possible way, from AC/DC to John Denver, right? I mean, to Imagine Dragons, to Move Forward, to Jelly Roll. So we got to keep the authenticity of who we are is what the key is. Like, we gotta have that original guy or girl, the one or two, three things that come along that everybody goes, what's that? Oh, well, that's offensive. Or you got to have that. You got to have something that breaks
the noise.
Yeah, and you got to remember the industry is built on one or two things that shaped it. Whether it was Elvis, whether it was Sinatra, whether it was the Beatles, whether it was, you could era it like Zeppelin, whether it was Garth Brooks, whether it was go to the biggest thing that ever happened in an era, Taylor Swift, the biggest thing in an era, Bruno Mars, Kurt Cobain. There's one or two or three, and then the industry spins the rest off of it, and we have an industry created where we can write songs and help these people create their things, and you know what I mean? It's all a spinoff. So it's really important that authenticity of what you do. Don't be afraid to be your dumb old self and just explore do you know what I mean? Embrace who you are. Because the only thing that's going to keep the music creative and fluid and getting better, as if you want to put it in that kind of terms, is by you being yourself. But I just think it's constantly evolving. That's the super long answer to your question, but it's constantly evolving. I feel maybe times like right now we're in this smear of there's so many. Think about how many genres are behind us. For you guys, I mean, I was pretty much. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s was all I could go back to realistically, right?
And they're kind of siloed. Like you got rock and roll.
Yeah, and they're all definitely siloed. Definitely. And now you've got this smear of so much. You've got where rap music became the new guitar solo. You remember everything was about guitar solos and Eddie Van Halen, and then all of a sudden, Kurt Cobain comes out and it's about weird chords and emo lyrics, and it's no longer about crazy guitar solos. It's more about that thing, and then rap music becomes a new solo where guys are freestyling like Eric Clapton would freestyle, and that's like the new thing. So it just keeps evolving, and then I always feel like country music is kind of a 10-year behind the times spinoff of all of that, and we gather a lot of that stuff in the genre also. Because we can't help but grow up in the culture where all those things exist, even though we love country music. Mm-hmm. So somehow it's going to seep under the door and seep through the cracks. And
okay, so
as you could tell, I'll just go.
I love it.
But I think it's all this is my blood going through me right now, because it's what it's all. Music is life.
Yeah. I mean, I sense that. So going into because I do want to talk about a voice.
Yeah.
Culturally, we're at a spot that's delicate.
Yeah.
I think we could pretty much all universally agree with that to some extent.
Yeah.
This song.
Yeah.
Touches on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
culturally, like this song is this message of hope and of relating, and it's a bit like blue collar songwriting in a way,
It's kind of 90s country, too.
I love it. I love it.
It really is, like,
Yeah.
form-wise. It kind of.
So, what's the message that you want to say with it? I mean, the song speaks for itself, but what is it that what is the ache inside of you that you wish were understood?
Through these last few periods of history, man, it's been crazy, right? And you guys have grown up in the thick of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on the backside of it just going, wow, I would not want to be a kid right now growing up.
Yeah.
I never thought I would say that because I'm like the world's oldest teenager, you know. But you know, in 2020, actually 2015, I wrote a song called Stick That in Your Country Song. The world was in flames then in a different way. Before pre-COVID, I wrote that song in 2015 with one of my writers, Davis and Ash, and it just got kind of looked over. It was angry, and it was a little bit spiteful about politics and stuff in the world. 5 years later, COVID happened, and statues were coming down, things were happening in our nation. Eric Church calls me up and says, hey, I just found the song you wrote called Stick That in Your Country Song. I want to put it on my new album. 5 years after I wrote it. You know, and it's fresh. You know what I mean? So the message is always the same. It's like a couple of years after that, I wrote Am I the Only One for Aaron Lewis? And at a time when people were really questioning what was going on, like where the truth was in the news, in every politic, everything. And he had a massive hit with it. And I got a lot of rocks thrown at me for the lyric. Mm-hmm. It's really the same song I've been writing.
For 20 years.
Really is. Like My Town on acid, maybe. I don't know. Sure. You know, on mushrooms. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Just to give it an analogy of some stupid kind. But
My Town on shrooms.
So post-COVID, post me 20 years sober, from a lot of tragedy in my life, like everybody goes through, and people being through God again, I say, you know, through my faith, and that he would guide me. He's put people in front of me, the people that are in the video, Afghan guy hit by an IED, 300 pounds, blew the whole side of his body off. A lady that I started playing a charity for that I knew in Atlanta who got Parkinson's, diagnosed at like 30, and now she's, you know, just can barely move, and all these years later, and she's in the last stages of that, and I've watched her whole life, and we've been friends. And a kid I know that got into a car accident when he was 18, probably about 12 years ago. Doctors told him he'd never walk again, and his mom refused to believe that. And through music and I'm making a point here, so sorry, but he's taken his first steps all these years later, and speaking through music. His mom got no's from the doctor, but she used her faith and her sheer will to help this kid get back on his feet. So, long way around. When we made the song, when I wrote the song, the word voice came into the conversation. I was like, wow, voice, that's a great idea for a song. And I just happened to be sitting at my piano, and I just went, will you be a boss? I would raise it now. I was like, oh shoot. Oh, that's for all the silence. Oh gosh. It's a song about everybody. Nobody has a voice. Nobody's been spoken for. Like, I don't care who you're voted for. Mm-hmm. I don't care how adamant you are on the left or the right. Everybody feels left out right now. Everybody feels like they're just paying taxes and they're not worth anything. We're all tax farmers. And we're not being represented by anybody.
Yeah.
And that's just how I feel. And I see it. I play all around small town America. I see it. I see it in the towns. I see it in the town where there's $1 million casino and a bunch of homes for sale. Right. And a Dollar General, and all the houses are falling apart. But there's $1 million casino with flashing lights.
Yeah.
And some guy's playing there tonight. You know. But the town's broke. And I was like, man, nobody is being spoken for. So all of these thoughts of the last 20 years of my life just spilled into this lyric. Things I've seen, things I've done, and a lot of politics I've been surrounded by. So I knew that I wanted to make a video with real people that were in my life that helped shaped it. And that was the first order of business when I decided to record the song. I want to make a video that represents people that have changed my life. So that was where we started, but I never dreamed, my kids told me to put it out. I played it for Jason Whitlock, a friend of mine, and Jason goes, you got to put this out. You got to put this out. And then I played it for my kids, and they're like, you got to put this out. I played it at an event. Everybody got on. I still didn't know. I was still scrolling the lyric because I didn't know the song on my stool, the deal, like you've done it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And I fumbled my way through it. The crowd was on its feet. And then I played another town across country. A couple of nights later, crowd was on their feet. And then when I say that, I don't say it in a braggadocious way. I just say I've had a lot of hit songs that have affected people in a huge way. Never seen this before. Never seen people just spontaneously jump up before I'm done singing.
That just gave me. I just got.
Yeah, and then we talked about this pre-show here. I played it for some people in the industry. I said, well, if you change that one line, we could probably help you promote this, but we can't get that played on the radio. So what do you mean? I'm playing it out live and people are freaking out. Yeah, but this is politics. But if you change that line, we can get behind you and help you.
I'll go on record and put it this way, and this is not a political statement, but we live in a time where we are dominated by cowards.
Cowards.
People, I'll leave it at that.
Cowards. It's a great way to put it, because we truly have flipped the ship, and
it's a reflection of our. Again, I don't want to make it political or anything. I just think that it's a reflection of where we are.
Common sense, though, is not political. It's just common sense stuff that we are not paying attention to anymore. And I can get on a soapbox so tall. I won't, but I can. Just about common sense stuff. So the song, to me, okay, and the line was, Charlie Kirk Choir.
Yeah.
It says Charlie Kirk Choir. I didn't know Charlie. I met him. I did some things with Candace Owens a few years ago where I'd go and sing with her when she did her speeches, and I'd sing a few songs, and she took me to TPA a couple times, and I got to meet him, and he was very wonderful. Mm-hmm. He didn't have to take a second he was so busy, he didn't need to take a second to shake my hand. I was just there to sing. But he went out of his way to walk up to me and thank me for being there. And, I was like, there's no he didn't need to do that. I'm not saying that makes him a great guy. I'm just saying you could tell a lot about a guy's character in the first couple seconds.
Of course.
You meet him, right?
Yep.
So anyway, after he got shot, assassinated, I was at downtown Franklin, and there was a big vigil there like there was all over the country. And the song was already written. We'd already written a voice. I was down there with some buddies, and just to go see what was going on. And it was like 5,000 people down there in the square, downtown Franklin, a little square. And they're all just singing and praying and lifting up. And there was no flags burning. There was no statues. There was no violence, nobody fighting. I was like, all this guy did was give people a voice. He put a microphone out there. He let people talk. And it immediately got turned into a politic. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, It turned into a politic. This guy was a great guy. He was turning on kids to Jesus. That is not a bad thing. If you look at the world and where we are right now, what's missing?
Well, let's draw a parallel. And it's not to bring race into the conversation, but MLK did that same thing.
Yeah.
And let's be real about it. Like, after he died, it was the same effect.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't walk through that, but
it became political, as everything does.
Political, and
it's always used as a tool to get a vote, and that's what we got to remember. That's what we have to remember, that none of all the politics. Again, forgive my language, but all the politics are bullshit.
Yeah.
A politician, just look up the word politician. A politician is a guy that will do anything to get you to vote for him. Mm-hmm. That's basically the meaning of the word. There are no good politicians.
Yeah. There's obviously a disconnect between what you see and what is, on our screen, where maybe the small voice or a minority voice has a really loud voice. Mm-hmm. But then you see all this going on. Like, if anything, people are tired of it.
Yeah. And again, you see that on TV, and then, like I said, I go around the country. I play small town shows, songwriter shows. I meet people. I love meeting people, talking to people. What I see is not what I see on TV.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to represent what I saw in that song and represent the people that have come, like I said, come into my life. And I couldn't have wrote that song in 1990 or 2000 or 2010 or 2020. It had to be now when I had perspective to step back and go, wow, man, all this stuff that has happened, and you can sit there and pull it apart all you want. But the one thing that's still the most predominant is that people are not being represented and spoken for on either side of either color. It's all about groups and putting people in groups and giving people names and shifting this to that and this to that, and agencies, government agencies that our tax dollars go to. And I'm getting way off the song, but that's really what's happening. And my point is that people need to take care of people again. That's what churches were built in towns for. This one you got right out here, that's what churches are for, right? And that's what communities are for. And we've lost sight of our communities. And the song was basically stand up. If people felt like they did have a voice, they would speak for the people that didn't. They'd speak for the kids. They'd speak for people that were, more downtrodden than they were, or more hopeless than they were. You know what I mean? If people felt like they had a voice. But right now, I just feel like people are doing everything they can to make it in society. Now, and you guys are living in a time, you can't buy a house anymore. Like when I was growing up as a kid, it was tough, but I knew that if I worked super hard, I could maybe save money and put a down payment and buy a house for my kids and my wife. Mm-hmm. Now it's like not even on the radar for most families. It's not on the radar. That doesn't have to be that way. Right. We're the richest nation in the world. It should not be that. And it's because we're taxed too much. It's a whole other conversation. But the long way around it is that song, I wanted to say something so people would stand beside, stand behind, and stand in front of people that didn't have the legs to stand down or the voice to speak with. And being a voice means being an ear. It means being a hug. It means being a friend. Just being there, just standing there and being there, showing up. And it also means a visual or audible voice that they hear when and loud when it needs to be. And not to be afraid to say it. All it takes, like the old cliche, it takes one person. But most people have been silenced and are afraid to say. And most people feel the same way, but and most of the artists, normally, you guys know, I'd pitched a song to somebody. Mm-hmm. But most of the guys I know, they can't sing it. Because, man, my label won't work my single. I got 20 guys going down the road on a bus, man. I'm, paying salaries. Yep. I can't, fortunately for me, being an old songwriter, I was able to just stand up and go, okay, I'm doing it. I'll put it out and I'll take the hit. I don't care. I know what I believe in, and I know what's right. I know what's real, and I know what's right. And if they want to shoot me down, like when somebody asked me, you could get canceled, I said, I'm too old to be canceled.
Yeah, who cares?
Who cares?
That's the mindset, because what is a true democracy if you don't have a voice and people are not willing to be even wrong?
Yeah, and free,
not willing to meet in the middle.
Yeah,
what is a democracy?
Well, we were never a democracy. We were a democratic republic, and I will just put that out there.
I have a thought on that too. A democracy, because a democracy is everybody. Everybody's wrapped in some sort of democracy, whether it's a parliament, monarchy, totalitarian, or a constitutional republic. We're the only one. But a democracy is basically two wolves and a sheep in a bar having a drink, talking about what they're going to have for dinner. And the sheep's going on and on and on about all the possibilities for dinner, and the wolves are just going, yeah. Because they know what they're eating the sheep.
Right.
As soon as he's done with that drink, it's going down. And that is a democracy. The difference between us and everybody else is we have a constitution that gives the people the last word. That's what free speech is, and that's what, without getting into a thing, that's what the Second Amendment's for, to protect that free. It's not to hunt. It's not to protect your family. It's to protect your free speech and from a government that gets too big and overwhelming. And that's why the founding fathers put it in. That's the only reason it's in there. And we've watched for 50 years while they're trying to rip that out of the Constitution. It's the only. All other countries that have democracies have freedoms,
right?
But they're not free. We're the only free country. And if we're getting our free speech squashed, we're songwriters. That's our gig. I mean, our gig is free speech. So that's another thing that's hit me really hard. I want to say what I feel like needs to be said. And if they want to knock me down, I don't care anymore. I just don't care.
And I like how you said it in a way that's not preachy. The perspective is I wish I had a voice. It's a specific perspective that is a call to action, but it's not a preachy call to action.
It's not a preachy at all.
So well done.
And then the last verse is to the kids is, will you be my voice?
Yeah.
You know, will you be my voice?
Yeah.
Because most...
That's the great turn.
Most people are just afraid.
I will be your voice.
Yeah, yes, I will be your voice.
Yeah.
And that's what usually when people will get up out of their chairs when I sing it, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Wow. But like I said, it's a song that couldn't have been written at any other time. And there's a few people I could probably have played it for, but I just felt like, again, I prayed. Man, I cried about it. I was in tears. Like, why would I do this? I don't want to do this. Like, I'm too old to do that. Well, why? You know, I was getting so emotional about the idea of promoting it, and then the answer just came. Man, this is you. This is what you're about. It has to be you, and it has to be you say. And then the weird metaphor of it is, you know, for 40 years I've kept my voice under wraps, giving it to everybody else, giving my melodies and my words and my you know, all that willingly and lovingly and as a guy who could help out, which I love. And but so it's a neat place right now. It's a tough place because, boy, man, people are quick on the rock throwing. But it's been mostly positive. When I go out and play it, it's been mostly positive, and it's a positive song. It's just a song about helping people out.
Yeah.
In a world where I feel like just not enough of that. We got so many agencies taking care of so many things, and nothing's getting done. And I think it's time for people to stand up for each other and just be there for each other, and even in the smallest ways. This is just helpful somehow helpful.
I mean, you draw on a good point, and the way that I hear it is this: the world that we live in focuses on the dark, and the way to get rid of the dark is turn the lights on.
Oh, God. Amen.
And so, with good news, with honesty, the truth sets you free. So speak the truth. And,
all the time.
That's the place that we're in.
Yeah, and it's really the only thing you can do is bring good to bad, and you're right. It is in the human realm. Can I make one more point? Because this is probably getting off the radar a little bit.
Let's go.
But
we're talking realms. Let's freaking go.
Civilization sits on a garden, beautiful garden, but the garden sits on a graveyard of all the people that were raped and maimed and killed and hung and burned to create the civilization. So, you know what I mean? Conquering is human nature, is conquering, right? And re-establishing and conquering and dividing. If you go to any ancient civilization book, it's all about conquered civilizations and people that died, right? To build a better civilization. But that civilization isn't resting or built on faith, something above it, somewhere where you get to. Because you can only get to so many places with art and culture and literature and language. You can only get to, it's still going to be people wanting to eat each other after a while. Because it's the human nature of people without faith in their life that's wanting them. And the founding fathers knew it when they created the Constitution. They knew it was flawed. They knew that it had to be built on faith, but faith wasn't a sure thing in a human world.
And obviously there's going to be the people that have the opinion that, well, they lived in a time at the same time as, you know, that slavery is as old as time in some form or another.
Everybody's been a slave. We're slaves now to our phones.
Yeah.
More than any slavery that's ever happened.
It's old as time.
Yeah.
Everything, there's nothing new under the sun is what the Bible talks about. And I find that to be true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, but I think we truly are slaves now more than ever. And if we look at, we're all praising electric cars, and we got slaves digging the cobalt out of the ground in Africa. Yeah. And no one, I mean, it's so weird how people, I mean, I could go on. I could just go on, we everything's racist and slavery and we have to have open borders. We have to have everything opened up for the world. And there are no illegal aliens. It's like, wait. So you're saying all the white Western Europeans that came and conquered America, that was okay then? If there's no borders, then it doesn't matter. Like there's all these hypocrisies that they speak about. But my whole idea with civilization was that if you don't have faith, if you don't have something that elevates you above the humanity of the inevitable, the eating of each other. Yeah. Because it's all we do. I mean, it's all we do in the gravity. Without faith, it's inevitable. And we're in a stage right now where we've been so spoiled by everything. Yeah. Why are we think about if we didn't have, just a random thought, if we didn't have air conditioning, I mean, it's so random.
Let alone DoorDash.
Yeah, but think about it, we didn't have air conditioning. What will we be discussing right now in world stuff?
I'd make the argument that my body would be better acclimated for the earth.
You'd be saying, God, I'm freaking hot, man. We got to go find something to cool off. I mean, it's first world stuff. Yeah. We're at the tail end of some serious first world. I mean, think about in 100 years, America created everything. Mm-hmm. The culture, the industry, technologically, jet aircraft. Yeah. Within 10 years after inventing the airplane, the next thing you know, they got jets coming. I mean, there's nothing we can't imagine and do. Right. So there's also nothing that we can't imagine and turn into a weapon. And we can imagine all these things, but why can't we imagine faith? Why can't we imagine God? Why can't we imagine Jesus Christ? Why can't we imagine that is a real thing too? Why are they turning that now into something that doesn't count now? It's a figment of your imagination. You know what I mean? Like everything else is good, but that's not. So we're in a weird time, man. It's a historic time.
Very much so.
And the only way out of it is through common sense, right? And music is everything. Like I said, God created music to celebrate his creation of life. That's what our music is. It's like a celebration of all we are and do, and just like all the Psalms, like celebrated God. Like without it, we're cannibals.
You said something earlier before we got in the conversation, but that it's a vertical relationship, not a horizontal.
Yeah, it's up and down. In a world of left and right and black and white, it's all we hear about. We're all racist and we're all divided and we're all picking a side. It's the only two sides are up and down. I mean, we either have good or bad. I mean, you're either trying to do something good or you're aiming at something bad. I mean, that's really when you break it down. If you break down all this smart stuff we all know, break it down to nothing. It's either on one side. Those are the two sides. It's either good or bad. It's not anything but that. I mean, it really isn't. You're either trying to help the world or hurt the world. At the end of the day, I think if you start from that place, it's a better place than left or right. And who knows more, right?
Well, certainly people are crazy. I mean, I think Hitler probably had good intentions.
Sure.
Right.
Everybody does.
In his own justification.
Yeah, everybody does.
But faith is love, and without it, you're right.
Absolutely.
It's like dogs.
Yeah. Again, long way around on the question, but that's where the song came from. It just came out of a lot of thinking and a lot of seeing and a lot of being out there and trying to understand the time we're in right now. What's really missing? What agency can we get to fix everything that's happening? It's like, no, it's us. It's us reaching out. It's really that simple. And so the song was really, that was my intention with the song, to try to hit that and represent people that did that for me as my life was going through some changes,
Oh.
Yeah.
Got any questions?
No, that's a great way to. I think
Well-
that's a great way to wrap it.
That was a lot of talking, boys. Sorry.
Jeffrey
this is
Steele, thanks for bringing your voice on and sharing it with us.
And all the wisdom.
An honor, you guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.